What's up, guys? Good.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. What have you missed in not having Turpin in the return game?
I mean, he's the most dynamic returner in the game, so you miss that. I mean, that's just pretty much what it is. You always want your best players to be out there, so when he's ready, we'll be ready.
Some of the issues you had last week, was that just inexperience there? And obviously they kicked the dirty ball a couple of times.
Yeah, they had two good ones. I mean, obviously you get better at it with experience. There's no doubt. And again, those some of the times, you know, they hit him really good and that knuckles coming right at you. It's tough. And Blue's a young guy, and Crop had a difficulty with one. He kind of misjudged it a little bit, and they got two of those touchbacks off it. So we keep working it. We keep working it, and those guys gain more experience every time they get their shot.
Nick, Todd Archer with ESPN. Saw the Bengals kicker try a 67-yarder last week. I think everybody's waiting for that 70-yard kick. What if you had to go back and tell your former player self when you got in the league that guys would be trying these kinds of field goals? What would you say?
It's crazy. It is. It's amazing that these kids are so good and their legs are so strong and the operation's so good too. And I think back then it was a little different too because you could push, you know, like the rules were different. I think you get more penetration, so it lent to that. But obviously these guys are kicking the heck out of the ball, and it's not just one or two guys. There's quite a few, because you see them in warm-ups too. Every week you see these guys trying some deep kicks, and I'm sure they're doing them in practice as well.
With Brandon, is there, not on the 70-yarder stuff, but can you? Does the ball sound different than other guys that you've been around? And it comes out
to me, yes. Yeah, and it's impressive because it does look pretty effortless, and he's got such a compact strike to him, and he's very explosive. But again, he's an explosive guy. He's athletic, and you know, with the soccer and everything. But yeah, he strikes it.
And then how do you, if a guy's never practiced a 70-yarder, how do you know a guy can make a 70-yarder?
I think sometimes you're trying it. You have an idea of what they can do. If you haven't kicked a 70-yarder, you've seen what maybe a 64-yarder's looked like, and you're like, oh, it's worth a try. I think it's always depending on the situation.
Nick Harris, 4-Star Telegram, on the game-winning field goal that the Panthers had. Looks like you almost got home. What was the call there? And I guess close but no cigar. But how did you feel about the execution still?
Yeah, we've been working on that. There was an opportunity there based on the look, and then with Sam, and he got it off really quick. And it was a lot closer so he could get it up, but we're trying to win the game. You know, I didn't want to keep that in the pocket for too long. So the op was there. We practiced. The guys executed it really well between Sam and Osa and Solomon. So it would have been really cool if we'd have got it, but they did a good job.
Is there anything different you can anticipate on those game-winning field goals that are different than a normal kick operation?
It depends on where it is, maybe. You know, the deeper ones, sometimes they drive it a little bit lower. Other than that, to me, everything should be the same aggression. Like, it should be the game-winning kick every time, because you don't know how much that can affect the game. Just like when Wanye blocked, one earlier in the year, who would have thought how much that changed that game and where it came into play later in the game. But if you're going harder because it's later in the game, you probably weren't going hard enough early in the game, to me.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. KaVontae Turpin had a kickoff return against Washington last year. Obviously, it was a spectacular play.
Yeah.
Spin move. Do you go back and watch that to see if there's anything, or special teams personnel also just shifting so much?
Yeah, you look at old stuff too for the coordinator based on what they've done in their past. I've known Izzo for a while, played against him, coached with him. But yeah, the personnel stuff is huge too. So you really just look at both. And they've done a heck of a job. They've been really good, really in a lot of phases. They're really aggressive. They have good, clean scheme, and they have good players. So it's a really good challenge for us this week.
And you guys haven't run a fake yet on special teams. Is that always team dependent in terms of what you might do, if it look based, or is it hey, is it a generic look? We might just trigger this, or game scenario? How do you guys?
Yeah, you're always looking for them. I'm always looking for them. It's always situational based and team based. I think there's no one right answer, because you may like one, but you don't have the look, or it's just there wasn't one there that week, or it's this it's a combination. It could be the wrong situation, like down and distance, or hash, or where you are on the field, or what the score of the game is.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio 105.3. The fan following up on Washington's strength, particularly in the return game, kickoff return, and McCaffrey. What's the common theme there, or line that goes?
The common theme is he runs really hard. He fields it well. He gets vertical, and they block really well. I mean, they do a really good job of executing. Like I said, they have good players. They have a scheme that's really clean, and they execute it. They stay on their blocks. They're just it's all around good by that whole unit, based on what the scheme is, how the players play, but also how McCaffrey's hitting it. Debo's had some long ones. Jalen Lane's had the long punt return. He's a really good young returner, Virginia Tech, by the way. But they've got talent. They've got good players.
Tommy
Irish, DallasCowboys.com. We talk a lot about Brandon kicking the ball through the uprights, but through 6 games, how would you assess with the new kickoff rule some of the plays where he either bounces it? I mean, there was that one where he bounced it, like went right over the pylon, out of bounds for a touchback, and just pinning the offense back with that new kickoff rule, making them start from the 20.
Yeah, those have been awesome. And there's some that get a little bit too far. So he's had a lot of touchbacks. I think he's tied for the most with the minor touchbacks, the ones that get to the 20. And then he's also got the ones that have gotten to the 35. He just has good control, and sometimes a couple of them have gotten away from him just a little bit. But his approach, he doesn't usually give it away, which is cool. And he's got great control of his kicks, and that kind of carries over to kickoff too.
When he has that one, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where it just went right.
Oh, I had a good view of that one. That was right on our sideline, so the ref did a good job there.
You do like a celebratory backflip or something when you see those?
Probably, there's no chance. A backflip. It's probably a minor fist bump of good, or on the 20, which is good for our team. But yeah, I don't think I can do a backflip in the water. I'm serious. Backflip's not happening.
We saw Brian Anger. It was during that final drive from Carolina. There was a timeout. He went out into the field, right in the middle of the field. I think he was assessing the wind. Is that something he does on his own, or do y'all have conversations?
Yeah, those guys they're on it. They're pros, really, all of them together. They take care of a lot of stuff that they're always thinking ahead. They're always communicating. If something comes up, they talk to me about it. But those guys take care of a lot of a lot of stuff on their own, because they are on their own a lot. Even in practice, they go get their kicks in, try and get over there, me or Carlos, as much as we can. But they're pros, and they've been doing it together at a high level.
As a special teams coordinator, do you have to double as a weather expert sometimes too?
Sometimes, but we're all those guys we're always looking at it between us and, people who give us reports of it. But those guys are aware, and we're always checking on it, what it's looking like. It can change. It changed a little bit last week, and then it was gusting pretty good. There were some decent gusts last game, so there was one punt that you could see it just goes from side to side. So those guys are on it, and we're always communicating.
Joe.
Debo and Luke McCaffrey aren't your 4-3, 40-yard dash kind of guys. How much is kick coverage dependent on what type of guy is back there in terms of how you guys handle blocks and just trying to, I guess, change your attack, maybe if it's speed dependent?
We tweak it a little bit based on their personnel, like where they have their guys and where we think they want to return it. It also depends on who we have up, who's healthy, and how we want to kick the ball. And that could depend where we're kicking it and where we put our guys, because you're usually not in the exact same place every week. And most teams are like that, because some of those guys are changing based on who's elevated or who's not.
All right. Thank you.
Cool.